So, hello students, welcome to my channel. It's me Neil Ghosh, your ISC class 11 and 12 tutor. So we are going to cover the next part of our history syllabus, that is the chapter 1.3, and it will be going to be our class 3, and the topics we are going to cover are the outbreak of the Second World War and the resignation of the Congress ministries, Lahore Session of the Muslim League in 1940, deadlock up to the August offer 1940, failure of the Cripps mission, and Quit India movement, Quit India resolution. So if we talk about the last chapter we have studied, we have found that in the last chapter, we have studied about the summary of the Congress ministries, about their achievements, about what happened in Bengal, in Punjab, and in Sindh, about Fazlul Haq. So, in this chapter, we are going to come up with the first topic of our class today, that is the outbreak of the Second World War. So, what happened? Let's see. As we can guess with the name of the chapter, national movement during the Second World War. So what happened, what national movements were been taken up during the Second World War? And in the earlier section we have also studied about the Government of India Act of 1935. With continuing that, we'll start off the chapter. On the basis of the Government of India Act, elections were held and Congress formed ministries in 7 provinces out of the 11 provinces. So we have already got it in the previous section. Coalition of government also been formed in other 2 provinces. As the Viceroy did not consult the central legislature and the provincial government for involving India into the Second World War. Means the Viceroy, who is the Viceroy? British Viceroy did not consult, did not inform, मतलब inform नहीं किया था किसको, central legislature and the provincial government को फॉर इन्वॉल्विंग इंडिया इन द सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर, कि इंडिया को जो इन्वॉल्व किया उसके बारे में कोई जानकारी नहीं दिया है वाइसरॉय ने. द कांग्रेस मिनिस्टर्स रिजाइन इन नवंबर 1939. मुस्लिम लीग बिकेम जुबिलेंट. Jinnah came up with a sigh of relief and directed Muslim League to observe a day named as the, what is the famous day named as the Day of Deliverance. Day of Deliverance was observed on 22nd December 1939. The resignation of the Congress ministers was tactical, means there was a logic behind it. In this time, Congress was out of power. Congress was not there in power, and the British took the full advantage of the situation. In the second round table conference, many communities, particularly Hindu and Muslim, would present in the provincial ministries. After the victory, Congress did not accommodate any group of the Muslim League, like the Muslim League, in any ministry. Thus, an important issue in UP, thus the Congress assumed office. कांग्रेस ने कोई मुस्लिम लीग ग्रुप को एकोमोडेट नहीं किया था मिनिस्ट्री में. द सर्टेन कंडीशन विच द मुस्लिम लीग रिजेक्टेड was outright, means कांग्रेस ने ऑफर किया था 2 सीट मुस्लिम लीग को, बट मुस्लिम लीग had rejected the offer. Muslim community felt that they had no political future as long as the Congress was there present. मतलब जितना दिन कांग्रेस रखा उतना दिन मुस्लिम लीग का कोई फ्यूचर मुस्लिम लीग के जो लीडर्स है वो नहीं देख पा रहे. So thus throughout the 27 months of Congress rule in province, so there was a long list of charges and report the Muslim League formed against the Congress ministries, and till then up to the time Congress ministers were been in power, मतलब जितना दिन कांग्रेस ने पावर में रहा था, approximate time of 27 months, Muslim League cannot form their organization. Muslim League started a program of consistent propaganda, of consistent news against Congress on the Muslim, that Congress had been ruling over the Muslims. To give some tactical support to the propaganda, Muslim League formed the पीरपुर कमीशन हेडेड बाय द नवाब ऑफ पीरपुर. मतलब इस जो न्यूज़ था, जो एक मतलब वो बोलते हैं ना रूमर था कांग्रेस के बारे में, तो उसको मुस्लिम लीग ने एक पीरपुर कमीशन, मतलब एक कमीशन, एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के तहत उसको एक ऑब्जेक्टिव दिया अंडर द लीडरशिप ऑफ नवाब ऑफ पीरपुर. सो व्हाट हैपेंड इन द रिपोर्ट, ए फॉल्स रिपोर्ट हैज़ बीन प्रेजेंटेड अबाउट कांग्रेस, कम्युनलिज्म एंड एट्रोसिटीज़ ऑन द मुस्लिम लीग. मतलब रिपोर्ट में क्या कहा गया था कि एक फॉल्स रिपोर्ट दिया गया अगेंस्ट कांग्रेस मिनिस्ट्रीज, एंड there has been no such things happen, but Muslim League appealed to the Nawab of Pirpur that there has been happened something. This uh, Congress has been acrocities, means Congress has been ruling over, dominating over the Muslim people. Pirpur report, the Sharif report came out with the charges of the Congress out of brutality. Atrocities means out of brutality on the Muslims. A supplementary of Pirpur report. So moving on to the next, बंगाल प्रीमियर फजलुल हक, हमने वहाँ पर पढ़ा था प्रीवियस सेक्शन में, कौन था फजलुल हक, बंगाल में जो था, issued a pamphlet, means issued a propaganda against the Muslim suffering. What is the topic? The Muslim suffering under Congress, कि मुस्लिम को बहुत सफ़र करना पड़ रहा है कांग्रेस के अंडर. Failure to prevent communal riots, ban of Bakra Eid, cow slaughter, encouragement for signing of Bande Mataram on public occasion, encouragement of Hindu at the cost of Urdu, and discrimination towards Muslim. मतलब ये सब जो मतलब इशू किया गया था चार्जेस, कि उनको ईद मनाया नहीं दिया गया, कम्युनल राइट, स्ट्राइक्स एंड फायर्स, डेमोक्रेशन, डिस्क्रिमिनेशन टुवर्ड्स मुस्लिम, वंदे मातरम सिंगिंग, दे आर फोर्स्ड, द मुस्लिम आर फोर्स्ड टू सिंग वंदे मातरम ऑन द पब्लिक, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. Muslim League with regard to injustice made to Muslims, charges of the Muslim League to injustice to Muslim and the other minorities. This allegation inflamed the passion of the Muslim League against Congress. So what happened in the Lahore session? So moving on to the next, what happened to the Lahore session? So हमने क्या पढ़ा कि यहाँ पर जो outbreak जो कहा गया है, outbreak किस लिए हुआ? That the Viceroy of the British did not consult the central legislature and the provincial governments about involving India into the Second World War. And why did Congress ministers resign? Due to the false allegation of the Muslims over Congress. So we'll move to the next topic of Lahore session of the Muslim League in 1940. So what happened in the Lahore session of the Muslim League in 1940? So let's begin with it. So for quite some time, a section of the Muslim intelligentsia nourished the idea of a separate independent Muslim state. The Urdu poet Muhammad Iqbal first conceived the idea of separate Muslim state. They presided over Allahabad session of the Muslim League in 1930, where they demanded for the creation of a Muslim state, namely Northwest Muslim state. मतलब जो एक उर्दू पोएट थे मोहम्मद इकबाल, फर्स्ट कंसीव द आइडिया ऑफ अ सेपरेट मुस्लिम स्टेट. उन्होंने फर्स्ट कंसीव किया इस आइडिया को, एक सेपरेट मुस्लिम स्टेट चाहिए, where he presented his demand in the Allahabad session of the Muslim League in 1930, where he demanded of the creation of a separate Muslim state named as the Northwest Muslim state. In the context of the speech, it was been clear that Iqbal actually wanted a reorganization of the Muslim majority in the northwestern India. मतलब उनको एक reorganization चाहिए northwest India में. A group of young Muslim students of Cambridge, led by Rahmat Ali, propagated the idea of Muslim representative who took part in the second round table conference. एक ग्रुप था यंग मुस्लिम स्टूडेंट्स का, कैम्ब्रिज का group of students of Cambridge of young Muslims, who has been led by whom? Rahmat Ali, who propagated, who spreaded the idea of Muslim delegates, Muslim representatives who took part in the second round table conference. They included the provinces of Punjab, Northwest Frontier Province, Kashmir, Sindh, Balochistan for a separate Muslim state. This would be proposed for the इशू ऑफ द क्रिएशन ऑफ पाकिस्तान. इसलिए बोला गया था कि हमको एक सेपरेट स्टेट चाहिए, हमको एक मुस्लिम सेपरेट स्टेट चाहिए जैसे कि पाकिस्तान. बट द आइडिया फ्रॉम लंदन एंड टुक चार्ज ऑफ द मुस्लिम लीग. पाकिस्तान जैसे कि आप जानते हैं आतंकवादी का देश. ओके, सो दिस डिसीजन, none of the Muslims have took this decision too seriously at that time. In after 1937 election, Muhammad Ali Jinnah came back from London and took charge of the Muslim League. The performance of Muslim League was not very good in 1937 election. They did not get a single seat in the Northwest Frontier Province. ये आप कहाँ से पढ़ सकते हैं? आप प्रीवियस जो सेक्शन था वहाँ पर हमने क्लियरली बताया गया था कि मुस्लिम को कितना सीट मिला, कहाँ पर मिला, कि कहाँ पर नहीं मिला. तो वो सब आप वहाँ से ईजिली पढ़ सकते हैं. ये सब आप रीड कर लीजिएगा तो हो जाएगा. So moving on to the next, Jinnah now felt that Muslim League had no influence among the common Muslim people because it was dominated by rich and elite people. मतलब Muslim League was no influence under the common Muslim people. मतलब Muslim League अब common Muslim people के द्वारा not going under the flow of the common Muslim people, but it was going flow of the elite and the rich group, rich society of the Muslim people. जिन्ना स्टार्टेड ए कैंपेन, जिन्ना ने कैंपेन शुरू किया जिसके तहत जिन्ना जो मास थे मुस्लिम का, जो कॉमन पीपल थे, उसको अपग्रेड करने के लिए, उसको सामने लाने के लिए एक मूवमेंट स्टार्ट किया. एंड this side by side Muslim League also started a movement campaign against whom? Against Congress for the Hindu Raj. Congress proposed about the Hindu Raj. Congress delivered. Congress created the Hindu Raj. So this was also side by side Muslim League started the campaign against Hindu Raj also to hostile the Muslim people. A Hindu body, the Congress was a Hindu body and held Gandhiji responsible for turning the Congress into an instrument for the revival of Hinduism. Muslim League observed when the Congress minister resigned, जब कांग्रेस मिनिस्ट्री ने रिजाइन किया 1939 में, तभी मुस्लिम लीग ने एक डे ऑब्जर्व किया, एक डे मानना शुरू किया. क्या है वो डे? वही जो पहले बताया, डे ऑफ डिलीवरेंस ऑन 22 December 1939. कांग्रेस रिजाइन हैड at last came to an end. Muslim would resist any political settlement imposed them against their will. The Prime Minister of Bengal, Punjab, Assam and the leaders of Muslim in the Congress ruled provinces now rallied under the leadership of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. In 1940 at Lahore Session, Jinnah came up with his two-nation theory. मतलब लाहौर सेशन में जब 1940 में जो लाहौर सेशन है वहाँ पर ही जिन्ना अपना फेमस टू-नेशन थ्योरी के साथ प्रेजेंट किया अपने आप को. He declared that majority rule would not be workable. He pointed that the Muslim were not a minority but a separate nation. Muslim को minority नहीं चाहिए, एक separate nation चाहिए. They were different economically, politically, socially, culturally and historically. The Muslim League adopted a resolution known as Lahore Resolution, in which separate homeland for the Muslims had been demanded. The followers blindly believed that in independent India Muslim would not be a position of minority. मतलब independent India में मुस्लिम को एक minority का भी position नहीं मिलेगा, उसके भी नीचे मिलेगा position. The two-nation theory was the only solution of the problem. Muslim League ultimately led to the creation of Pakistan in 1947. So Congress took the idea strongly and on the basis of Indian nationality. कांग्रेस ने आइडिया को अपोज कर दिया कि नहीं, हम टू नेशन थ्योरी नहीं देने वाले हैं, मुस्लिम लीग को हम नहीं देने वाले हैं अलग लैंड. बट मुस्लिम लीग अल्टीमेटली लेड टू द कंक्लूजन एंड क्रिएटेड द स्टेट ऑफ पाकिस्तान, क्रिएटेड द कंट्री ऑफ पाकिस्तान in 1947. Congress ministers resigned from all the Congress ruled provinces with the outbreak of the Second World War. Jawaharlal Nehru and Gandhiji expressed their willingness to support the British government because it was struggle between fascism and democracy. मतलब जवाहरलाल नेहरू एंड गांधी जी ने क्यों, जनरली एक स्टूडेंट क्वेश्चन पूछ सकता है कि ब्रिटिश तो हम लोग का देश का ऑपोजिशन था, हम लोग को तो उनको कभी नहीं सपोर्ट करना चाहिए जो भी उन्होंने हमारे साथ किया है. लेकिन देन व्हाई डिड जवाहरलाल नेहरू एंड गांधी जी सपोर्टेड द ब्रिटिश? बिकॉज दे बोथ बिलीव दैट it was not a fight between British and Indian, but it was a fight between Hindu and Muslim under the tag of democracy and fascism. The Indian native states also stood गवर्नमेंट, इंडियन नेटिव स्टेट भी गवर्नमेंट के साथ था. बंगाल, पंजाब, आसाम जो इतने प्रोविंस थे वो भी सपोर्ट किया ब्रिटिश को. अगेंस्ट दिस फाइट ब्रिटेन did nothing to prevent ministries of Punjab and Bengal from doing so to support Britain. Muslim League High Command was not willing to support Britain, but it did nothing to prevent the ministries of Bengal and Punjab from doing so. The national government would be established immediately at the center, and it was been decided by the Congress with the cooperation of efforts. The Congress Working Committee passed a resolution named Conditional Support for the British Authority, and Subhash Chandra Bose came up with his newly idea of forming a newly organization named Forward Bloc, which was strongly opposed the idea of cooperation. मतलब सुभाष चंद्र बोस का क्या कहना था कि हम cooperation नहीं करेंगे ब्रिटिश के साथ, no matter what the circumstances are. The British Emperor could hope to be free. The breakup of the British Empire could be hoped to be free. On the other side, Muslim League passed a resolution promising support on the condition that no constitutional advancement in India should be made without the approval of the Muslim League, which was the only organization. The British government was not prepared to make any concession immediately or make promises about the future. So we have covered the second topic. So ये आप थोड़ा सा read कर लीजिएगा last पैरा, इसमें इतना कुछ खास नहीं है. So moving on to the next. So what's our next topic? Our next topic is the deadlock of the August offer of 1940. So what was been proposed in the August offer of 1940? The Viceroy as a suggestion means the government came through with the Viceroy Lord Linlithgow on 8th August 1940. Congress proposal for provincial national government was turned down. So what were the points of the Viceroy? What was the suggestion of the Viceroy? डिसीजन स्टेटस वुड बी ग्रांटेड टू इंडिया आफ्टर द वर्ल्ड वॉर. मतलब इंडिया को इंडिपेंडेंट डिसीजन लेने का राइट दिया जाएगा कब? आफ्टर द एंड ऑफ द वॉर. ए कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली वुड बी समन्ड एज द ड्राफ्ट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. ए कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली तैयार किया जाएगा टू ड्राफ्ट ए न्यू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. मतलब एक न्यू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन तैयार करने के लिए कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली तैयार किया जाएगा. द इंटरेस्ट एंड द सेफगार्ड्स फॉर द मुस्लिम वुड ऑल्सो बीन प्रोवाइडेड. मतलब उस सजेशन में क्या कहा गया था कि इंटरेस्ट और जो सेफगार्ड है वो भी मुस्लिम को प्रोवाइड कर दिया जाएगा. The government would never agree to the constitution which did not enjoy the support of the Muslim League and other minorities. Few dominated Indian members would be included in the expanded Viceroy Legislative Council. मतलब कुछ इंडियन लीडर्स को, कुछ इंडियन रिप्रेजेंटेटिव को भी ऐड करना चाहिए इन expanded Viceroy Legislative Council. War Advisory Committee would be formed by inclusion of native rulers to aid and advise the government. So, what were the following grounds under which Congress rejected the August offer of 1940? So, there were mainly two reasons. It encouraged anti-Congress forces like Muslim League. मतलब उन्होंने anti-Congress forces encourage किया मुस्लिम लीग की तरह. वो बिल्कुल ही सपोर्ट नहीं किया, कांग्रेस ने डायरेक्टली रिजेक्ट कर दिया. और forming of the provincial government, yes, there was no suggestion of forming of the provincial government. मतलब provincial government तैयार करने का कोई suggestion ही नहीं था, इसलिए उन्होंने directly reject कर दिया on the ground of these two region, provincial national government. So Muslim League has also been remained with their firm demand of creation of Pakistan. Ultimately, at the Ramgarh Congress in May 1940, Gandhiji agreed to launch civil disobedience movement, individual satyagraha. Acharya Vinoba Bhave was selected by Gandhiji to start the satyagraha movement on the famous date. What was it? 17 October. We know it. The satyagraha movement had been started on 17 October 1940. And who has been selected as the representative? Acharya Vinoba Bhave. Nehru and Vallabhbhai Patel were arrested before they could offer satyagraha. Ultimately, it was withdrawn in December 1941 because of its limited nature and movement. So, the next topic we will learn that why did Cripps mission arrive to India? Who had sent the Cripps to India? Sir Stafford Cripps. So why had been Cripps mission sent to India in 1940? So we'll go to the next topic about the failure of the Cripps mission. We'll learn later. We'll see what is the reason behind the Cripps mission had been sent to India. So what is the reason behind it? In the meantime, the war situation became very crucial. Poland, Belgium, Holland. So in the meantime, Poland, Russia, Belgium and other of the countries have been attacked by Russia on June 1941. So what happened, we'll see in the next part. Having joined the Axis power, Japan made a sudden attack on the American fleet that is where in the Pearl Harbor. So when Japan attacked at the Pearl Harbor, Japan soon captured its territorial lands, that is Indonesia, Indochina, Philippines, Malaya and other states. There were pressures on Britain from Russia and America and China to reconsider their Indian policy so that the Indian could cooperate with the British government. Sir Stafford Cripps has been sent to India, who was a member of the war cabinet. He has been sent to India after the fall of Rangoon to Japanese. कब आया वो? जब after the fall of the Rangoon to Japanese. There were in 1942, on March 1942, and the Cripps mission came to India and started discussion with the representative of Congress, Muslim League, Hindu Mahatsabha, the Harijans, and the other native and the liberals. So what were the proposal of the Cripps mission? The first proposal was that India could remain with the British government, or it can attain any other separate state and live as a separate individual country. Dominant status would be granted to India immediately after the end of the war. Immediately after the war, a constitution making body has been set up for India, where the members from British India, as well as it consists of the members of British India as well as the Indian, as well as the native states and the British India. The constitution so framed would be adopted by the British government on one condition, that any Indian province, if desired, could remain outside of the Indian territory to negotiate directly with the British government. The actual control of defense and military operation during the war period would retain to the British government. So ये चार proposal है, ये आप पढ़ लीजिएगा, बहुत important है. So what was the reaction of Congress and other political parties on the Cripps proposal? Firstly, Congress rejected the proposal. Congress demanded full independence, which was not provided to Congress. But Cripps now offered dominant status, which Congress had already been rejected in 1930. Secondly, the proposal wanted to create a cleavage, wanted to create a separation by providing that any province could opt out of the Indian फेडरल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. मतलब कोई भी अगर चाहे, कोई भी स्टेट चाहे तो वो इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से बाहर जा सकते हैं, लेकिन ऐसा तो कांग्रेस नहीं करना चाहता था. वही बताया गया. It was an indirect indication of the creation of the formation of the state of Pakistan. Thirdly, Indian native states were also given the power of right to secede to the Indian Union. Fourthly, the Congress proposal for forming a war council. The Congress leaders have formed a war council with the Indian leaders was denied. Fifthly, all the proposal were to be implemented in future, but Congress did not rely on future promises, as its famous Gandhiji's comment was, a post-dated check on a crashing bank. So why did Muslim League rejected the proposal? So we'll learn about the three. The Congress, why did Congress rejected the proposal? Why did Muslim League rejected the proposal? And why did the depressed classes, the lower classes, the Sikhs rejected the proposal of the Cripps mission? So why did Muslim League rejected the Cripps proposal? The Muslim League demanded that it was not being ensured, but it was not being ensured in the Cripps mission about the 50-50% share of the state between Pakistan and India. सीट्स ऑफ द मुस्लिम लीग विद द कांग्रेस इन द इंटरिम गवर्नमेंट. मतलब कांग्रेस मुस्लिम लीग को लग रहा था, मुस्लिम लीग इसलिए रिजेक्ट किया क्योंकि उनको लग रहा था कि पाकिस्तान का जो सीट्स है वो 50-50 शेयर में नहीं रहा है कांग्रेस और मुस्लिम लीग का इन द इंटरिम गवर्नमेंट. Moreover, declaration had not recognized separate electorate in the constitution making body. Why did the depressed classes, the Sikhs, rejected the proposal? The depressed classes, the Sikhs and the Indian Christian and Anglo-Indians demanded more safeguards to the communities, as their communities are of the lower classes. So they demanded, says the Sikhs and the other lower community. Why they rejected the Cripps proposal? Because they thought that the Cripps proposal had not given more safeguards to their communities. So moving on to the next part, the most important, the Quit India resolution. After the failure of the Cripps mission, it had been clear that British was not willing to transfer the power to Indian people. मतलब ब्रिटिश अपना पावर इंडियन पीपल के ट्रांसफ़र नहीं करना चाहते थे, तो इसके लिए क्या किया था? The arrival of Japan to India's eastern frontiers aroused among the Congress mixed feelings of fear and hope. There was an apprehension that India might meet the fate of Malaya and Burma and Japan would be the new imperialist. मतलब एक डर था, मतलब जो इंडिया का जो ईस्टर्न फ्रंटियर्स था among the Congress, there was a mixed feeling of fear as well as of hope. डर किसका था? कि जापान will be the new imperialist and it will capture all the territories of India. And why there is a hope? That Japan would help India against the war of the British. So underneath the fear was the hope that Japan might liberate India from the British. As I have told you, that Japan, the India thought that there was a hope that Japan would help India against the struggle, against the fight, against the outrush campaign of the British. The Prime Minister of Japan, General Tojo, and the Indian leader Subhash Chandra Bose. Tojo had proclaimed Subhash Chandra Bose had already escaped from India to Berlin in 1941, then Tokyo and Singapore. Matlab, when Subhash Chandra Bose escaped from the Indian country, so where did he first gone to? He first gone to India to Berlin, then to Tokyo, and then to Singapore. There was an Azadin radio in Germany 1942, which Japan had no design on India. So what was the main part here in the next para? Except Raja Gopalachari, all the Congress leader accepted Gandhiji's viewpoint. Only Raja Gopalachari wanted to accept the Cripps proposal. मतलब क्या है कि all other Congress leaders and all other individuals have accepted the Cripps proposal, but the only personality Raja Gopalachari did not accept the Cripps proposal on the ground of creation of the state of Pakistan. He did not want that. So who did adopted the Quit India resolution? In the Bombay meeting, AICC in August, and on August 8, 1942, AICC passed the Quit India resolution. There was the full strength under Ashima to complete deadlock by strikes and other non-violent means. ये जो part है कि adoption of the Quit India resolution and spread of the movement. Where did the movement spread? ये आप अपने आप से पढ़ लीजिएगा. ये उतना मतलब important नहीं कहूँगा, मतलब ये आप इजीली पढ़ सकते हैं. ये पैराग्राफ में थोड़ा थॉरली अगर रीड कर लीजिएगा, इफ यू रीड थॉरली यू कैन इजीली अंडरस्टैंड दिस. So there was specific or concrete direction or the line of action to be followed. British government viewed such idea as rebellion and Viceroy took a strong attitude towards India's Quit India resolution. So where did the movement spread? The movement spread to the most part of the country, and as Gandhiji was the leader. So the Communist Party of India, the Muslim League and the Hindu Mahasabha had their own reasons to reject the Cripps proposal, to reject the Quit India resolution. So why did Muslim League reject the Quit India resolution? As they have refused to participate in the movement as because the Muslim League wanted a separate state of Pakistan on behalf of the 50-50 shares of seats in Pakistan and the other territories, but it has not been condemned in the Quit India resolution. So why did Communist Party of India rejected the Quit India movement? And it would weaken it would weaken the British government in struggle against fascism. मतलब उनको लग रहा था कि against Muslim, मतलब मुस्लिम के against British भी हेल्प करेंगे इंडिया को, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं था. ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं था कि ब्रिटिश हेल्प करेंगे, मतलब ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट हेल्प करेंगे अगेंस्ट फैसिज्म, अगेंस्ट मुस्लिम. सो कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी ऑफ इंडिया also condemned, also rejected. The Hindu Mahasabha also condemned the movement and did not take part in the national struggle. And also मतलब ये तो आप समझ सकते हैं कि and he did not take part in the national struggle. So what violent public reaction? बहुत गर्मी है, आप समझ सकते हैं, बाप रे. So in Satara and Maharashtra, parallel government was established which functioned for a long time. In the eastern part of UP, Bihar, Azamgarh, Talche, the government authority practically become non-existent. Public reaction that the working class and the common people, the masses, have protest their way in the many industrial towns. So there were some personalities who took part under whom the revolutionary movement had been started. Jayaprakash Narayan and Ramananda Mishra, who managed to escape from jail. These are the two famous personalities who started the movement, revolutionary movement, under whom the working class and the common masses have took part in the movement. Congress radio and establishment of Congress radio by underground rebels with Usha Mehta as its announcer. The most daring, the most fearful fact. So moving to the next part, what were the important storm centers of the movement? There were 5 storm centers: the district of Bhagalpur, Hazirabad, Saran in Bihar, Banaras, Ghaziapur, Balia and Azamgarh districts in UP, the district of Baleswar, Koratpur and Talcher in Odisha, Tamluk in Midnapur, and district of South Bengal, Nasik and Satara in Maharashtra. And there were 5 personalities who had been known, who took active part in the different parts of India in the Hindu and Harijans movement, who were the Aruna Asavali, Sarojini Naidu, Sucheta Kripalani and others. So what were the 3 phases of the movement? In the first phase, the movements have been started in the urban areas, followed by hartals, processions, strikes, and lockouts. And the working class were in a number in the industrial towns who went on strikes. Some were the industrial centers are Bombay, Kanpur, Jamshedpur, Ahmedabad. But Ahmedabad was the most destructive area had been considered in the attack. So in the second phase, so what was been told in the second phase, lead was been given to the rural people. Midnapur district of Bengal, north east Bihar, eastern Uttar Pradesh, especially Banaras district of Maharashtra, Baleswar and Talcher of Orissa took lead in the movement. They tried to set on them fire. Police have been out for action. Temporary governments were established in Tamluk in Bengal, in Balia in Uttar Pradesh. In the third phase started roughly from September 1942. Underground revolutionary activity started. Jayaprakash Narayan and Ramananda Mishra escaped from Hazirabad jail and organized an underground movement. Aruna Asaf Ali of a socialist group carried out a movement in Bombay, speaking about the Radio Berlin on 31st August 1942. And it was been the movement has been described as non-violent guerrilla warfare. In the last phase, it was continued up to May 1944, where Gandhiji was released from jail and movement was came down into a slow pace. All the revolutionaries celebrated the Tilak Day Independence Day. Gradually, this movement of the Indian people came to an end. So, at the end, it was been khatam ho gaya, movement. So, what were the causes of the failure of the movement? When Gandhiji and all other leaders were being arrested, the local leaders were not being as effective as the Gandhian leaders. There were no centralized leadership to coordinate and guide the movement. These were the main reasons. So there are the there was the sixth reason you have to note down and you have to study it properly. So moving to the next reason, according to Dr. Rajendra Prasad, extensive preparation was needed for the success in the movement. मतलब preparation लेना चाहिए था, अच्छा preparation रहना चाहिए था, अच्छा plan चाहिए था कि एक plan काम नहीं किया तो दूसरा क्या plan रहेगा. But there was no such plan because Gandhiji had an opinion that the government would never arrest him. So he had his plan, but he has been arrested by the government. Moving to the next third point, the Quit India movement also failed as the rulers of the native states, army, police, high government officials remained faithful towards the British government. But the movement did not evoke much response from the merchant community. मतलब merchant community has not taken active part, and the merchant groups had been profited heavily during the war period, so they did not take part actively. Muslim League remained aloof from the movement. Hindu Mahatsabha against the movement. The Communist Party of India, due to its pupils' war line, did not support the movement. Congress leaders like Raja Gopalachari, who had been accepted the Cripps proposal. So from the very beginning, the movement was ill-conceived and weak for all reasons. So the last two reasons had been that the Allied army, which has been stationed at Calcutta, was promptly used to crash the August Revolutionary. R.C. Majumdar was rightly marked. The general picture that emerges from the accounts may be described as a widespread revolutionary approach. मतलब R.C. Majumdar has been highly remarked. R.C. Majumdar को बहुत अच्छा remark मिला कि उन्होंने जो by their accounts they had been described as widespread revolution. मतलब revolutionary जो था, मतलब जो revolution movement था बहुत spread हुआ, वही बोल रहा था, and it manifested in the destructive activities. So in the final causes of the failure is that government ने सुना ही नहीं किसका internal criticism of the barbarous activities done towards the Indians. मतलब गवर्नमेंट ने ये सोचा था कि ब्रिटिश हमको हेल्प करेंगे, जापान हमको हेल्प करेंगे against the British Emperor, to outrush the British Emperor. British will help me to outrush against the Muslims. But उन्होंने कभी सुना ही नहीं कि इंडियन पीपल के ऊपर जो अत्याचार हो रहा था, इंडियन पीपल के ऊपर जो डोमिनेशन पावर जो काम कर रहा था, वो गवर्नमेंट को सुना ही नहीं दिया, वो गवर्नमेंट को दिखाई नहीं दिया. Allied powers were busy in fighting against the Axis power, and naturally they had to mind to think that the British were doing in India. So hence the Quit India movement failed, but its significance and contribution to the freedom movement of the Indians cannot be denied. मतलब Indian movement और freedom movement, Quit India movement जो contribution दिया वो हम deny नहीं कर सकते, वो हम ना नहीं कर सकते कि it has not been contributed in our independence. It has been contributed. So what is the significance of the movement? The British government had never faced such opposition before the Quit India movement. Now, in 1945, to try a negotiated settlement for the transfer of power was outcome of the Quit India movement. It would be who had told the Churchill dated in a letter Churchill dated on 24 October 1944 that Viceroy Wavell pointed out a comment that it would be impossible to hold India by force after the war. मतलब ये नामुमकिन था इंडिया को पकड़ के रखना after the war on the basis of what? On the basis of force. मतलब फिजिकल पावर के तहत इंडिया को बांध के रखना आफ्टर द वॉर इट वॉज नेक्स्ट टू इम्पॉसिबल. इट वुड बी इनफैक्ट इट वुड बी वाइज टू स्टार्ट नेगोशिएशन बिफोर द एंड ऑफ द वॉर. मतलब नेगोशिएशन वॉर खत्म होने के पहले ही शुरू करना चाहिए. President Roosevelt wrote to the Chinese Prime Minister, the best policy for the English would be to grant independence to the Indian people as soon as possible. मतलब उनको समझ आ गया था कि इंडिया को हम और बांध के नहीं रख सकते और हम इंडिया को डोमिनेट नहीं कर सकते. As Indian pupils and Indian common masses and India's working class and the Indian merchant groups have been emerged to outrush the British from Indian country to अटेन इंडिपेंडेंस. सो प्रेसिडेंट रूजवेल्ट को पता चल गया था, अमेरिकन प्रेसिडेंट रूजवेल्ट को, तो उन्होंने चाइनीज़ प्राइम मिनिस्टर को एक लेटर भेजा कि इंडिया को रिलीज़ कर दीजिए, इंडिया को फ्री कर दीजिए एज सुन एज पॉसिबल, एज वी कैन नॉट होल्ड बैक इंडिया फ्रॉम दैट पॉइंट. सो ये हमारा तो सिलेबस ख़त्म हो गया. वी हैव डन अप विद द लास्ट पार्ट, द फेलियर ऑफ द क्रिप्स मिशन एंड द क्विट इंडिया रेजोल्यूशन. So failure of the Cripps mission and the Quit India movement. We will continue to our next classes with the exercise questions of the short and the broad. If you can try up with the question and see how much you can be familiar with the questions, and it was been not tough, it has been what we have learned in the chapter. So that's the end of our class today. We'll come with the question answer in the next class. That's all for today. Thank you, and please do subscribe to my channel for further updates and share with as much as people as you can. So till then, keep learning and keep exploring. Thank you.